Did you know a man chose a humiliation worse than death just to finish a book? Sima Qian was the official historian of the Han Dynasty. His life's work was the Shiji, a history of China spanning 2,500 years. No one had ever attempted anything like it. Then, in 99 BC, he defended a general who had surrendered to the enemy. The emperor was furious. Sima Qian was given 3 choices. Pay a fine too large to ever afford, accept execution, or undergo castration. He chose castration. In Han China, this was considered a fate worse than death. A man who accepted it lost all honor. His family lost all honor. Society never let him forget it, and he had to wake up inside that shame every single day, in the imperial court, surrounded by the same people who watched it happen. But the book was not finished, so he kept writing. He finished the Shiji. And that work became the template for every official Chinese dynastic history that followed for 2,000 years. The book outlasted the humiliation. Did you know the oldest named writer in all of history was a woman who wrote her way back from exile? Her name was Enheduanna. She lived around 2300 BCE, 15 centuries before Homer ever picked up a stylus. She was the daughter of Sargon of Akkad, the most powerful ruler of his age, and she served as high priestess at the great temple of Ur. Then a usurper seized power and threw her out. Everything she had was gone overnight, so she wrote. She composed poems addressed directly to Inanna, the goddess of war and love, describing her own humiliation in vivid, personal detail. She wasn't reciting ritual words. She was pleading. She was furious. She was demanding to be seen. And somehow, it worked. The usurper was defeated, and Enheduanna was restored to her temple. Her hymns were then copied by scribes for centuries after her death, used as teaching texts across Mesopotamia. 4,000 years later, we still know her name. A woman with nothing left but words, and the words were enough. Did you know a queen ruled Spain for nearly 50 years but never made a single decision as queen? Juana of Castile inherited everything. After her mother Isabella died in 1504, she became queen of a unified Spain at the peak of its power. The most important throne in Europe was hers. She never got to use it. Her husband Philip died suddenly in 1506. Juana was devastated. Her grief was intense, and the men around her saw their opportunity. Her own father, Ferdinand, declared her mentally unfit to rule. He took over in her name. When he died, her son Charles did the exact same thing. Juana was locked away in a castle in Tordesillas for 46 years. She never abdicated. She was never formally removed. Every document still called her queen. But here is the question historians still argue about. Was she truly ill? Or was she a powerful woman whose grief and defiance made her politically dangerous to the men who needed her gone? She died in 1555, still queen, never free. Did you know one of the deadliest wars in history started because of an argument about a dung heap? In 1618, a group of Protestant nobles in Prague had a message to send. So they grabbed 3 Catholic royal officials and threw them out of a castle window, 70 feet down. All 3 survived. And that is where things got strange. Catholics across Europe called it a divine miracle. God himself had reached down and saved his servants. Protestants had a different explanation. There was a pile of dung at the bottom. That is what broke the fall. Both sides were absolutely certain God was on their side, and neither side was willing to let it go. That argument lit the fuse. What followed was the 30 Years' War. Armies burned their way across Central Europe for 3 decades. Disease and famine spread behind them. When it was finally over, somewhere between 1/4 and 1/3 of all German-speaking people were dead. Millions of lives, entire cities, gone. Because 2 sides could not agree on what, exactly, a man landed in. Did you know the story behind the Lion King actually happened, and almost nobody knows it? His name was Sundiata Keita, and as a child, he could not walk. In a warrior culture, that made him a target. People mocked him openly. His own father's other wives used him as a punchline. Then a rival king seized power, and Sundiata's mother was forced into exile, taking her crippled son with her. But Sundiata eventually stood up, literally, and he never stopped. He returned as a grown man to face the Sasso Empire, the power that controlled every major gold and salt trade route in West Africa. At the Battle of Karina in 1235, he destroyed them. What followed was the Mali Empire, one of the wealthiest civilizations in all of human history. Its gold made up nearly half the world's supply. The boy everyone laughed at built an empire that made kings across Europe look poor. Disney borrowed the bones of his story. They just never told you whose bones they were. Did you know the most powerful man in the Roman Empire just walked away from it all to grow vegetables? Diocletian ruled Rome during one of its darkest stretches. Civil wars, plague, economic collapse. Emperors were being murdered every few years. And somehow, he held it together for over 20 years. Then, in 305 AD, at the height of his power, he did something no Roman emperor had ever done. He resigned, voluntarily, just handed it over and left. He retired to a massive palace he had built on the Adriatic coast, in what is now Croatia, and spent his days farming. When the empire fell back into chaos, his former colleagues came begging him to return. They needed him. Rome needed him. His answer was simple. Come see my cabbages first. He meant it. He never went back. For a man who commanded armies and held the fate of millions, he seemed to believe that a quiet garden was worth more than all of it. He may have been right. Did you know a man saved his country from the same government that tortured him just months before? Admiral Yi Sun-sin was Korea's greatest naval commander. Brilliant, disciplined, undefeated. So naturally, his own government arrested him. Political rivals convinced the king he was a traitor. He was stripped of his rank, beaten, and forced to fight as a common foot soldier, a man who had never lost a battle, scrubbing mud off boots. Then, Japan's fleet returned. 333 warships. Korea had 13. They had no one else. They reinstated Yi and handed him the impossible. He knew the Myeongyang Strait, a narrow channel where the current shifted fast and violent. He used it like a weapon. The Japanese fleet couldn't maneuver. Ship after ship was swallowed by chaos. 13 ships, 333. He won without losing a single vessel. Korea survived because of the man it tried to destroy. The institution needed him. It just couldn't admit that until everything was already burning.